Okay, hello. Assalamu alaikum and a very good evening to all of you. Is it too loud? Okay, I hope it's alright. I don't know what happened to the numbers. I think I was told we're still in exam mode at the moment. I think some of us actually have exams. That's a good way to explain the numbers. The other explanation is maybe a lot of them have run away, terrified by Adam Smith. I mean, we haven't beat Ricardo yet, but I think some of us already been quite scared, I guess. I don't know, but I hope they come back after they gain their courage to face back and speak away. Last time I remember we had almost quite a full number, full house I know it, but today half of them somehow have exams, I suppose. Nonetheless, okay, it's been 2 weeks since we have our classes. Last week we had no classes because you guys have semester break. Then the other weeks we have our last classes. Before that, I think we covered till here. But I think because we missed our classes, we don't have any classes the previous week. It's good to refresh back what you've learned about Adam Smith. I think I haven't seen you before. Yeah, would you mind introduce yourself? It's okay. I have. Yeah.
I'm Jasmine Omracic. I'm from Bosnia, and I'm a candidate for PhD.
Oh, right. Okay. So you're doing PhD on?
In economics.
On specifically on what? I mean, development economics?
It's area of development economics, Islamic economics.
Islamic economics. Okay, that's good. Nonetheless, okay. Let's try. I'm gonna pick a few people here to explain at least 2 things that you've learned about Adam Smith that you find interesting. Just refresh back whatever you have in your notes and maybe whatever that you understood since our 3 classes, last 3 classes, I think. So, okay, I'm just gonna start with I'm gonna pick randomly, okay? So you be prepared. If you have no answer, the punishment is you have to eat the whole meal by yourself. Nonetheless, let's start with anything interesting that you find that you learned so far about Adam Smith? Give me 2. Others, okay.
The fact that
Who said bully is not? Okay, you're next, by the way. You're next. Okay, go.
The fact that he barely mentions the invisible hand.
He barely mentioned the invisible hand, okay? That's true. He mentioned once in the Wealth of Nation, okay? What about the second facts? Or the second thing that you've learned that you find not stuck in your head for weeks now?
The system of natural liberty.
Yeah, system of natural liberty.
The fact that he called it that.
Oh, he called it that rather than a free market system or a capitalist system or stuff like that. Okay. Bully. Right? Who called bully is not? Okay, then nobody. How about you? What do you think? What are the 2 things that you've learned so far? This guy. How did you know? He could be the badass in the English world back then. So okay, that's the first thing. What about the second thing? Anything that you've learned so far that you find interesting? I'm sure you've learned a lot. Actually, I'm just being nice for myself. The percentage of wages increases.
Yeah,
the growth
of the economy need to grow.
Okay. Not really sure I get that, but I guess I'm sure you guys understand something in a way. So how about what's your name again? Sorry? Jasmine.
Yeah.
Anything interesting that you know about Adam Smith so far?
One of the major figures in economic development.
Right, okay. Anything else, no? Anything interesting about his theories and ideas?
Well, besides his theories in general, philosophically, they have, besides the economic aspect, what we today know, maybe we might understand it's just the scientific or the calculated part, which he didn't really write much.
Exactly, that's true.
It's rather more that he was writing philosophically about, and it's maybe more with moral values. You have a lot of moral values in that.
Exactly, that's true.
Today we just study him and usually mention him from the calculated scientific perspective.
Exactly. That's true. We mentioned, remember, I don't know whether you remember, we mentioned at the earlier part of our lectures, we mentioned about what are the motivation and how can we speculate about the motivations of Adam Smith. Why did he write Wealth of Nations? He mentioned a lot about he mentioned a lot about the labourers, the condition of the labourers, and how the system that he proposed is actually supported by a certain moral philosophy. He wanted to help the poor. That's the whole system is all about, at least according to Adam Smith. We can disagree and agree whether he succeeded to propose a theory to do that or not. But one thing that I think is quite clear, if we try to compare the book, The Wealth of Nations, to other works, showing moral sentiments, the lectures on law, he wrote a book, he gave a lectures on law, and those have been compiled by his students. Those things, if we take them into consideration, what we have is quite a good guy, Adam Smith, if you like, who really care about the poor, who really care about the working classes, and propose the system somehow to improve it in a way. So that's good. Anything else? Yeah.
I think what I remember, one thing that I really remember is this idea of utility.
Idea of utility. Okay, that's
How
interesting.
it's broken down into two things: the ease of the body and the
Peace of mind.
Peace of
Yes.
mind.
So yeah, that's interesting because he used the word utility a couple of times in the book, and the way he used the word utility is not the way we understood the modern economic utility that we have today. He's not talking about satisfaction. He was talking about two things: the ease of mind and the ease of the body, the peace of mind, the tranquility. Meaning to say, there's certain moral values that it's not just living a good life materially, but you have to live a good life in terms of conducting a certain moral values, which is required and one of the complementary aspect of this system of natural liberty that we modern economists today tend to forget and tend to neglect. Okay, that's one. Okay, I have enough of that side. I'm going to go with that side now. So, anybody from this side, is anything that you haven't even looked at me right now? Like, okay, I'm just going to go down. I don't care what's going on. I'm just going to pretend that I'm in some other exams. I'm just writing my own thing. Maybe, yeah. The one with the bottle of water there. So yeah, what do you think? What? Give me two things that you find interesting about Adam Smith that we've learned so far.
But the most significant one is he's actually a good guy.
He's actually good. We never know he's actually a good guy or not, but he proposed a moral theory. That's something that we can look at. Okay, that's good. I mean, how about anybody from this row? You? Yeah.
First, the was mentioned you want the rich.
Jump.
You want the rich to. You propose the system.
The system.
For the rich to help the poor. And
For the rich to help the poor.
indirectly.
Indirectly. Yeah, kinda in a way. That's true. That's true.
The value, but the value that we say about the diamond is not very function, but the value is higher than the.
Okay, that's the notion of value in Adam Smith works. He speaks a different sort of value. He doesn't speak value in the sense of utility. He never speaks about value in the sense of social construct. He thinks there is a value, and those value in the commodities are the amount of labor expended in the production. Okay, I can revisit back to the first slides and just quickly run through it till we reach these slides, just to refresh your mind. But again, I wanted to know whether you want to do that. That might take like 10 minutes, so just click, and then we'll reach to the part that we're going to discuss today. Or we can just straight away jump into the discussion. So can I get a hand, those who wanted to revise back from the first slides now? So, is that the majority? Okay, let's start at the beginning now. At least those who just came. Okay, I promise I'm going to be very quick because the thing that we're going to do today, hopefully, we're going to finish Adam Smith and we're going to leave Adam Smith to his grave. I mean, he died already, yes. So we're going to move to Ricardo a bit. I'm not going to go into the theoretical part. I'm just going to explain to you what are the settings, what are the historical backgrounds Ricardo lives in. Then, if we have more time, we're going to look at one documentary which somehow related to Adam Smith's idea of division of labor and why these ideas are somehow being cherry-picked, not being fully explained in the modern economics today. Okay, let's go to the first slide. Quickly go to this particular part of the lecture. say the click, 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 yeah? Where's the clicker? I don't know what's the name of it, but it's... Okay, it's okay. A lot of things missing today, including the people. So, okay, Adam Smith was born in Scotland. Yeah, he was blah, 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 blah. But he wrote two important books. Theory of Moral Sentiments and The Wealth of Nations. He have another book, like I said, it's a book about the law. It's actually lectures on law. But laws and jurisprudence, is that? Okay, sorry. Yeah, but it's not really his writing, it's compiled by his students. I haven't grabbed that one yet. So I think this is something you can write for yourself. Okay, what are the overview, the purpose of Wealth of Nation? I mean, this is how I define it. Obviously, it's not there in the books. There are bits of it in the book, but an overview of the work is this. Anybody can? Okay, it's a... Okay, you can read this actually. I'm just going to read this now. Advocate reform of economic policy, specifically a move towards a system of natural liberty, which is what is SNL, not something in nightlife. It's an economic system in which individuals are mostly free. The words mostly are being highlighted there. To use the resources they own, which is three things: their labor, capital, and land, in pursuit of bettering their condition, providing that the actions do not cause direct harm or injury to others. One thing that we have to take from this is that SNL, the system of natural liberty, is not an end in itself, and you will see how important this is when you look at the rest of the lecture later, where we mentioned about education. It's not an end in itself, it's a medium, it's a means to achieve what he called as the real happiness. Yeah, that's the word, real happiness of the social majority. So what did he mean by real happiness? He was talking about a certain ease of body and a peace of mind, meaning you have a minimum standard of living, you can eat, you can have shelter, you can have food, you can have a certain attires for you to wear in a way. But the most important part is the tranquility, or in other words, the peace of mind. So again, you acknowledge. I mean, that's when you read the book, The Theory of Moral Sentiment. It's hard to categorize which one is a description of what exactly the psychology of the society that particular era, and on the other hand, what he proposes, what he thinks as a human nature. So, I mean, at least to my own readings, and when I'm reading to some of the lectures as well, he somehow said two different conflicting things. He said the society works in a certain way. The society was disillusioned, was somehow deceived to pursue wealth, to pursue a lot of other things, because they think that's going to give them the happiness in life. But he said the real happiness is, on this slide, for merited applause of behavior, applause that was given by an impartial spectator for morally praiseworthy conduct, in a way. This again is basically moral sentiments perspective of it, in a way. And these particular themes resonate throughout the book. And we obviously, some of us actually asked last time, why the Wealth of Nations doesn't speak about this explicitly. You know why he somehow hides the motivations to help the poor, the motivations to propose a morally justified system of free markets, if you like. Again, he used the system of natural liberty. One of the speculations is that he was writing with aiming to, was writing as a propaganda to convince the rich to follow the system. Because once the rich follow the system, because at the end of the day, if the system is going to work, the rich have to somehow agree upon it, and once they act upon it, according to the kind of proposal that he suggested, the trickle effects, and part of the trickle effects, trickle-down effects, going to improve the working classes and the poor communities. So, in fact, there's a letter that he wrote to Hume, I think. I can't remember to whom actually, but most probably Hume. That somehow he kind of suggested that he was writing a book on economic theory, political economy, which he aimed to somehow improve the condition of the workers and the laborers. But he never yet explained what other books are. It could be Wealth of Nation, it could be the other project that he was working on. Again, we mentioned last time he had 16 volumes of work that he never got published. I mean, he instructed his family or somebody to burn everything once he died. So we never know what else that he wrote about other things. Okay, yeah, this is the thing that I mentioned just now.
So again, one of the contexts that we have to understand while Smith was writing about the book is that he was trying to criticize a certain figure, which is a James Stewart. He was writing a book on an inquiry into the principle of political economy, which suggests government intervention, but in a certain way. He was not suggesting a general government intervention. He was suggesting that government should intervene, but to improve the economy, to somehow fix the economy, whatever, when crisis happen, they should intervene. But they should aim at somehow controlling the lower classes, the working classes. He said there that, for example, when it comes to population, overpopulations, the government should restrict the poor from a marriage and child policy, something like that, like in a way. And of course, I mean, the fact that he was trying to focus on the poor and not focusing on the whole system is somehow suspicious. That's why Edison wrote this particular book to somehow criticize this, partly to say that this kind of mechanism is rather being motivated by wicked and nefarious, ideological interests, if you like. So this is one of the best quotes that I think I found really interesting. I mean, this is where he explicitly mentioned that the whole welfare of the society can only improve when you somehow improve the majority of the society, the greater part of the society itself. And he explicitly lists out who are they. He said servants, labourers, and workmen of different kinds make up the far greater part of every great political society. But what improves the circumstances of the greater part can never be regarded as inconveniency to the whole. No society can surely be flourishing and happy, of which the far greater part, again the greater part was referring to the servant, labourers and workmen, are poor and miserable. It is but equity, besides, that those who feed, clothe and lodge the whole body of the people should have such a share of the produce of their own labour as to be themselves tolerably well clothed, fed and lodged. Okay, the system of charity acknowledged three kind of a class, if you like. He used landlords. He never used the word capitalist again. That's why I put a quote unquote there. So, but capitalist in a sense, he was referring to. I use the word capitalist to refer to Smith. When Smith mentioned about merchants, manufacturers, and those who own the capital in those particular era. So obviously, he never used the word capitalist, but he was referring to those merchants who own capital. So we can call them capitalists, but not. I mean, I don't mean it in a pejorative sense. I don't mean it negatively. I'm just, when I use the word capitalist in this context, is that they just own the capital. And they are landlords who own land and their income is rent, and they are also labourers who own their labour and their income is basically coming from wages. And all of these groups are trying to improve their own conditions, and because using this particular kind of mechanism, the system works in trying to improve every classes, if you like. Price is basically, okay, anybody can tell me what is price? I'm just going to hide this away for a while. Price. Price components, there are three things. Anybody can tell me? Profits, wages, rent. They are not just profits, wages and rent, they are natural profits, natural wages and natural rent. What is the word natural signify? Average. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's easy. So what you have in the market, the price in the market, it somehow it's a combination of those three components: the wages, the natural wages, the natural price, and the natural rent, and the natural profits, rate of profits. Then you sum up all together, you'll get the natural price, which is the equilibrium price of the commodity itself, of the good itself, not commodity. Okay, this is the calculation part. It's easy for you to understand, I think. Yeah, this is not important. This is important, but you can read them yourself. This is basically demand and supply and how it works. If you study economics, I think you can easily get this. That the price can gravitate to the natural price because of the market interaction. Okay. Under a system of natural liberty, the market price are always gravitating to natural levels. It's easy to understand. And state intervention is not required. And it's allowed the lowest sustainable price, all this basic stuff. But here's another one, that first, not like our modern economies today, Adam Smith acknowledged that the whole process of gravitating back to natural prices take a long time. So meaning to say, in that particular period, I mean, he acknowledged that there are problems, and you have to intervene, but in a very general sense. In a short run, you shouldn't just intervene just to pull the price back to the natural price. In a very long run, it will. But there are certain occasions where it's too long, there could be wars, there could be a lot of other occasions happening along the way. On that occasion, on that particular incidents or instances, you have to intervene, because he mentioned up to 90 years before the price will somehow get back to natural prices. And even when they get to the natural prices, when there are changes in the economy, then they're going to go back and then tiba-tiba tak lebih lagi sikit, then take time balik nak patah balik and stuff like that. So it's a really long and slow process. That's why he emphasized that along the way, at the end of the book, in fact, he mentioned this, that on an empirical basis, it's really up to the context itself. He was very pragmatic, he was very realist in that sense. There are no supply and demand schedule in Smith analysis. He did somehow suggested that there are certain kind of interaction between demand and supply, but he never really somehow provided to you a demand and supply kind of a schedules in a way. Okay, empirical question for Smith. Natural wage, this average wage, one thing that we have to remember is that there's a term called subsistence wages. What is subsistence wages? Price of corn is already a bit too technical.
How to sustain?
Sorry, yeah, this is the minimum wages, if you like, for them to be able to survive and produce the existing number of the populations. Meaning, if it's a wages where they can afford to survive and somehow to find somebody to replace them when they die, in a very general sense of the population itself. Meaning they produce the same number. That's the term for it. Okay, in this particular system, for the subsistence wages to continue to increase, what's needed? What's needed for the minimum wages, for the subsistence wages to increase? According to Adam Smith, there are certain things that need to happen. That is, come on, man, it's here. No, okay. It's at the sentence here. The rate of growth of the labor demand must exceed the rate of growth of labor supply. Because if labor demand increase, labor supply counter back, the price will be at the same level, if you like, because the interaction between demand and supply. But the growth of the labor demand must exceed the growth of the labor supply. Only then there's a kind of forces to increase the certain wages higher than its existing points. It's that easy. If you study demand and supply, it makes sense now. Again, somebody asked yesterday that it's impossible for that to happen. They're never going to be a actual continuous growth of for labor demands of labor compared to labor supply and those things. It's quite true, and Ricardo will criticize this later. And there's a natural rate of profit. There are competition of capital theses. Okay, first, what are the general observations of Adam Smith on the rate of growth of profits? Okay, well, take your time to read that. It's okay, I'm just...
What was the question again?
What are the general observation of Adam Smith on the growth of profits, the rate of growth of profits?
Depends on agricultural conditions.
Yeah. It declines. I mean, you are right too, but in a very general sense, it declines over time. Meaning to say, the rate of growth of profits going to decline over time. But because of two reasons, he called it the competition of capital thesis. Well, the word thesis is something that I had, but competition of capital. What exactly is that? Anybody come on? Output. Okay. Can anybody explain to me this line? Want to explain here?
Capital is complete by increasing output. So you produce more, but increasing output by all companies with low prices because now the output is higher, but demand means the same. So price drops, so profit diminishes over time.
I think, okay, that's true. So in a very long run, competition is going to somehow stimulate more companies to produce more. So output can increase. When there's more output, the price will be lower, when the price is lower, the profit is going to go low. That's at least how Adam Smith sees things in a very general sense. And that's the first part. The second part is that's the force from above. Depends on how you want to see above and below. But the force from above. But there's a force from below. In a very long sense as well, when the subsistence wages are continuously increasing in the long run, what happened to the cost of production? Wages increase, cost of production increases. So when cost of production increases, at the same time the price is decreasing, the profit is going to go down. So in the very long run, the growth of profits, the growth of the rate of profits is going to be lower. But they can sustain because the number of profits that they get in a revenue-wise is still large enough. But the growth will be very slow and emerging to, he called it a stationary point in a way, something like that. I kind of stationary something. Is it point or is it something else? But in the very, very long run, stationary kind of a point, but that's still in a very long run, and we haven't, he extruded the role of technology, which can somehow create another industry that can sustain the profits as well. And of course, we mentioned at this particular point, we mentioned about if the economies are continuously growing in this particular manner and logic, what's going to happen to our environment? I showed you the video, remember? So I hope you remember that. It's a very scary thing to imagine. RAN is okay. You can read that. It's more interesting when you look at Ricardo later. But RAN is basically it's monopoly. There's no means of average RAN. It's somehow being monopolized by the landlords. Okay. Both profit and rent are represented by Smith as a deduction from the produce of labor. Or he said in some other part of the book, he said deduction from the value added by labor. Now this is interesting because anybody know about this? This is similar to Marx. And I mentioned it last time because Marx was saying that the profits are originated by the value added by the labor themselves. Yeah, the surplus value. It comes from the labor. So it's not really a Marx discovery, if you like. It's already there implicitly in the book itself. Yeah. The thing is, Smith never made moral arguments about that because he think, and again, I wouldn't say he think, I would interpret it this way, that the laborers must accept that kind of a logic. Meaning because they don't own the capital, so if they work with the capitalists and their additional value that they add to the production process is being used and becomes a profit, that's totally fine, totally okay because they don't own the capital, that's all. Theory of exploitation in a way. A theory of exchangeable value. This is the introduction part. The value, there's a two value, exchange value and value in use. Value in use was referring to the utility, the usefulness of the good itself. The exchange value, and he was saying that the exchange value and the use value is not actually related. It's totally two different things, and it doesn't really affect each other that much. Because exchange value was governed by the amount of labor involved in the production process of those two commodities. I give an example. For example, if in a very basic early and root state of society, you are basically in a very very simple society. For you to tangkap a beer, using beer as an example, I don't. Okay, let's move on something. For you to catch a kuda horse, take 2 hours work, which is you're good. But to take another rusa, then you take maybe like 1 hour. So meaning it's 2 rusa for 1 hour for one kuda for one horse. Simple. Okay, now when you enter the commercial stage, you enter now a complicated economy. What happened there? Does Smith still retain the idea of labor theory of value in a way? He never used the word. But did Smith retain that kind of concept and that kind of analogy? There's a debate here, and this is where they call it the Adam Smith paradox. If you look at the journals, and there's a lot of camps, and I'm coming from a camp where I think it's still useful and it's still relevant, and Adam Smith never abandoned his the use of labor in understanding how exchange value works. So again, as we learned before, that Smith actually, when it comes to the commercialized economic stage, price are decomposed into three things: wages, profit, and rent. There's no labor involved here in a way. I mean, at least from the superficial appearances, there's not much labor here at the labels. But we can argue, in a very certain sense, that this particular components are made out of labor. It's made up of labor in a way. Obviously, you can see the arguments there why the rents somehow become zero in the long run, because they're going to buy the lands and stuff. And of course, other things to add to that is that we always mention about labor, even when trying to explain how the commercial stage works in a way. Okay, this is again the same thing. How the rent diminishes in the long run. Okay, the real measure of exchangeable value. Okay, there's an exchangeable value, meaning to say it's somehow the value of that particular goods vis-a-vis to other goods in the market. But also, I mean, Smith believed that when it comes to the good itself, they are the real value, meaning the value of the goods in itself. Like the value of the chair, the value of this particular goods. Because when we mention about exchangeable value in a very general sense, it could changes with inflation, it could change with the rise of money and stuff like that. But in a very even when he mentioned real value, this in a universal sense, despite all times and space, that particular chair and that particular table will have the same kind of ratio because of the labor expended on the production process. If the labor to produce table is 2 hours and the labor to produce chairs is 1 hour in a way, again we are using hours in a very general sense here, it's going to retain the same. Of course, the production process can improve the whole thing. If there are more technology being introduced, you might be able to make the tables more quickly. But still, the value of the labor there, it's standard. It's a standard value of labor. There's no change of labor. The amount of labor, the value of labor today is say 2 ringgits. Next time it's become 4 ringgits. So it's always the same. Okay. Why? Because you think when you are involved with the production process, the thing that you sacrifice is the ease, liberty, and is happiness, which is standard in every culture, in every period of time. We was proposing a very interesting concept here, which I think I would disagree, and Marx disagree, and Ricardo disagree, because it's totally ridiculous. But again, it's understandable, because it was coming from a slightly Aristotelian kind of a perspective, that there is an ontological value of ease, of happiness, which you can't measure, but in a very abstract sense, they are a value of happiness. It's not just relative to anybody else. It's not that, okay, you find it happy, you don't find this happy. It's a totally different happiness perspective. But in a philosophical sense, they are a standard value of happiness that one can philosophize, in a way. So when you work, you sacrifice those 2 particular things, and that's become the standard, the real value of the good itself. Okay, and he was not talking about utility, he was talking about this philosophical idea of peace, liberty, and happiness. Okay, the real price applies. What is this one? Okay, why he was talking about the real value? Okay, now I get it. Because again, somebody raised a question last time, I remember. They were asking about why this, because I think these are again speculations. Not speculation, we try to find a kind of a harmony in his theory. So this particular real value is quite useful for Adam Smith to justify that labor's should be, the labor's wages should be improved in a way, because for them to be able to be very happy, the amount of sacrifices that they have to give should be lower as well. So it's not just whether their wages are increasing, but along the way, the system should also, because for them to be really happy, real happiness, the amount of sacrifices that they need to give, meaning to see the amount of works that they need to deliver, should be lower than It should be lower in the long run, in the very long run. Kind of a framework. Okay, now we'll get here. Okay, I think I do quite a quick. What is the time now, by the way?
9:20.
9:20. Okay. Okay, let's do that. Okay. Let's talk about this economic growth. I think when I said that, actually I can see the clear better. So okay, obviously this particular system of natural liberty requires economic growth. Because when there are no growth, there are no demands for labor, there are no demands for goods, and the whole thing's not gonna work. No one's gonna get their parts of the pie. So it requires a system, this system should in a way must make sure that the growth economy continuously happening in the economy. So how does the system make sure that? Okay, according to Adam Smith, this is how it works. Economic growth, in a very general sense, requires two things. It requires more productive laborers, more skillful workers, in a way, and they need more productive way of producing things. Means increased productivity of productive labor. We need more laborers, one thing. We need the same amount of labor, but more productivity. I mean, the same amount of labor can produce more in a very for the growth to happen in a way. So for that to happen, there are a few things that need for that to happen. More capital is required. So why? Because if you need more workers, obviously, when you need more workers, you need more capital for the workers to use for them to be able to produce. That's a very general sense. Also, for you to improve the productivity of the workers itself, you have to invest on a different set of capital, different set of technology for the workers to be able to utilize that particular technology to produce greater amount of goods at the same time.